Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. We will let a few people jump on whenever this begins. So what are we going to talk about?
I don't know, man.
We'll see. We don't have anybody yet.
What should we talk about? What's been the biggest stressor for this week or anything like that? Or lessons learned from the week? It's kind of been our first full week of emerge quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Don't set expectations that you can't control.
That's a good one.
So mine was, if you, I definitely set expectations where this would be like a week and I'd have my business back and life would go back to normal, and it hasn't. So what I am learning to do is to adapt with the abnormal, to take each day to, what it's offering, which means getting up, and if I don't have work, if I don't have clients, then I create a to-do list for myself, and a lot of it just comes from projects and things at home. So I piloted my backsplash in my kitchen last night.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. Mine would be, I don't know, and I'm not even good at it yet. Bob Ross, here he is. Annette, Bob Ross made an appearance here, and I have my Bob Ross accent. So I was in the mood. I promised Sefton I would do it. Time management.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got so used to our old routine, and everything was the same. Like, we always had people coming into this building, so it was like time was a lot easier to manage. Because even if you, not unprepared, but you could kind of, your flow was a little bit better. So now that the flow is off and timings are different, like even if you have your clients, they might be at a totally different time, or sometimes you're going to a park, sometimes you're on a computer, sometimes you're outside. I mean, just like the time management is like off. So just kind of like making sure I allow myself enough time for transition, just for my own mental headspace. And I think most people are obviously understandable about it, but sometimes it's just hard for us internally to do that. And then allowing to make sure that since people are off their normal times, I lost my normal Keelin time.
Mm-hmm.
So figuring out where I'm going to program that into the middle of the day, so I'm not burnt. Yeah.
I wrote down it's at the mercy of the situation. So at least in this situation.
Hi, Sarah. Sarah's here.
I love. So I mean, we can't really control a whole lot. So I usually get up in the morning. I do my workout. I go into work. I do my clients. I eat almost the same thing-ish for the most part every day. I have a routine that took me a long time to establish to be productive, and then it was almost like the moment that the routine is in place and it's working, and then this happens. So then now I am thrown out of routine. So now I, once again, probably with a lot of people, you have to find a way and figure a way, well, how do I become productive with the free time? Because having too much free time is just the other side of the coin of having not enough time. And it's, how do I manage productively with what I have? So I am learning that I want to eat everything. I don't want to work out. I don't want to work out as hard. I certainly don't want to read and grow and pursue self-growth as I was. So it's almost like my external environment used to better help regulate me versus me regulating everything else. So it's harder to get up early because I don't have to. The food is definitely different. It's limited, and it's easier to eat fast food. It's easier to eat takeout because there's a lot of discounts going on right now, and it's actually a little bit more inconvenient for most to make a healthy meal and sit down and to enjoy it with your family. So, point is, don't be at the mercy of the situation. We create our situation, but it's a lot easier said than done. What you got on that?
Yeah, and food. I mean, food's hard for me because with all of my medical stuff, I can't eat out really, and I can't do takeout, but everything has to be prepared for me. And it's just really hard when my timing, and it's the routine, and it used to be wake up, prepare my meals, do this, like know that exactly when I go home and I can eat a solid meal, and like, yeah, I get used to not having to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of nice. And then the next thing you know, like I don't have my lunch. So then it's just kind of like that frantic refiguring out of routine, but not like I had like 1 or 2 days where like my food was like really off, and I felt like really sick to my stomach. Like I was eating the right things, but it was just like my routine was way off, and it was just kind of mean like, okay, like just because your schedule's different doesn't mean you can't not take care of yourself as well, because I had felt the repercussions like really quickly. So just kind of trying to balance my old routine that worked so well with the new one, trying to find the meeting ground between the two to make it work. So, because yeah, food's hard, and then a lot of people are buying stuff out, so that's hard too when you go to the store and you don't have. So, not getting stuck on what you used to always do, what was your go-to, is what was the easiest, and like be willing to take a second to think outside the box just to make it work. So
the coffee mug and the socks are bomb. Yes.
Yes, thanks.
So I guess we're just kind of flow organically today. We flipped a coin whether we were going to talk or whether we were going to work out, and the lot fell on speaking. So I guess we have of that program that we're running through, and we just talk about interesting topics here and there. I just talk about things that I would like to listen to. So one was purpose. So I guess the bullet point, the headline of this was you can't hit a target that you can't see, or it's very hard to. So our imagination is very powerful, predictively and negatively. So when you imagine something, you're actually visually creating it up in your mind. And what is neat is if someone is actually playing the piano, and if someone is visualizing playing the piano, the brain hemispheres light up almost identically.
I can't read. Oh, you keep talking.
What we got?
Emerge West is telling us something deep.
What are they saying?
I don't know. How do I make this blue thing go away? Go away. Go away, blue dot. Oh, there we go. Grasp the coffee mug with 2 hands and smell with your eyes closed. Oh, man. I'll have to be in the moment for that, Emerge West.
Thank you, Emerge. No. And then, where are we at? The backside's cool, too.
Yep. Lots of happy trees.
So your thoughts?
Hi, Carol.
What you're, I guess, visualizing up top, it can be powerful one way or the other. So if you're visualizing it up top, it is almost as if it has been done. If you remember the wrong memory, or if you choose to remember something different than happened, if you do that 6 times, it becomes truth to you. So the mind, it's hard to distinguish the mind from reality and from imagination, especially if you are imaginative and you think and you picture. So let's use that in something positive, and let's use that for something negative. So something positive could be, first thing that pops in my mind is Mr. Da Vinci, who he would visualize these conceptual designs of engineering, and he would write them and think them and play them out in his mind, many never actually having tried to engineer himself. But years down the road, people are like, wow, he never even tried to put this together, and this was actually really something. So you can also do that with visualizing your day. Let's bring it on a small level, as if you can wake up and you do positive things like breathe and have gratitude for the things that you do have. You can visualize yourself doing the laundry, creating a palette backsplash, which is what I did last night, or visualize yourself just enjoying and having the day, or what are you going to do with your kids, and what are you going to do with your family. You are far more likely to do something that you actually plan and visualize up top. Hopefully this is making some sense. And then negatively, you can visualize, I might have said this last time, it's like a coward dies 1,000 times, and then a hero or a warrior only dies once. And what I mean by that is like, if you visualize something bad happening, he dies 1,000 times, he dies 1,000 times in his head because he thinks, I could die from here, I could from here, this could hurt me, lightning could strike me. You live your life in worry, and when you live in the attitude of worry, you really get nothing productive done. So case in point is if we can control the visions, the thoughts, the how you picture your day going, how you picture your life becoming, it's far more powerful than I ever knew, and I wish I would have known that years growing up. So, feel free to add on that.
No, I think it's perfect because I think all of us need to remember that, especially like when it's the morning right now, a lot of us are just waking up. We see a couple of people saying like, Carol, hey Carol, like having your morning coffee. This is a really good time to just like decide that today you're going to have a good day. Like you're going to tell yourself that, because if you can tell yourself like today's going to be a good day, you're already setting your intention, you're already setting your mental landscape for the day that it's going to be positive. So even if something happens that's not the greatest or like throws you like off your path a little bit, you're still going to continue in the positive direction because you already just put your mindset in that way. You've already, just used Sefton's words, imagined that your day is going to be positive. So you put that mindset in, because if you wake up and you're already deciding that you're stressed and you're already deciding that something, whatever it is, you might not even know what it is, but you're going to be like, something's going to go wrong today. I just know it. Like you're already letting yourself have a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, yesterday the weather was so nice, wake up, have a beautiful day. And by the end of the day, I was laughing like so hard with my coworkers, and like the day was weird. I couldn't change the fact that it was a weird day because like everything's weird right now. But man, I had a great time yesterday. And it was simply just because I just allowed myself to kind of roll with the punches and appreciate the nice weather, appreciate people being appreciative of training, whatever it is, like that I could still work, and that people were willing to cooperate with me, and that sometimes you just have to roll with it. And if you just let yourself, and you let yourself foresee your whole day like that, it'll just completely change your attitude, and you can get through these weird times much better.
Yep, even, I mean, I can look big and strong and bald and bearded and tattooed and stuff. But deep down, like, these are the things that actually brought me to my, I would call my mental success, because I used to live like as a slave to my emotion and my thought for most of my years, not understanding or choosing to not consider that today is going to be a good day, that my voice or my inner voice, or that it is my choice to choose, am I going to make today productive? You can make today productive, you can make today happy, you can make today sad. And so it sounds so simple and it sounds so easy, but there's a lot of depth that goes into that. So what I would encourage you to do is to not try to validate, is this true? Are my thoughts, let's say, is all this true or is this false today? Don't try to I would say just consider it, think about this. Play in your mind throughout the day is, can I control my life? Can I control my day? Because if you can control one thought, if you can control one perspective, one situation, you can find a positive light in that, then the next step is doing that with your entire day, and then doing that with your week, and with your month, and then it becomes like exercise. It becomes like working out. So one thing that I'll do is I'll get up in the morning. I don't feel like I can talk. I don't feel like that I'm strong. I don't feel like that people want to hear what I have to say, but I have to find a reason, be like, no. That was all you, man, is you can speak. You have good things to say to people. You can help people just by being vulnerable and being open yourself. And really, I feel like, at least as a trainer and as a friend, is just being vulnerable and talking about all the real stuff that happens upstairs, the real thoughts, the real way that you perceive yourself. And talk to your husband, talk to your wife, the real things that go up top, and that's that communication piece. And it's hard to do so. And if you can get over the barrier of vulnerability, of letting what's in come out, oh my gosh, it'll change. It'll change. And it can change in a day. So that's what me and my beautiful wife, it was almost like one night, after knowing her for like 10 years, it was like I knew her differently. And it was very nice after that.
It was a nice moment. A nice moment with Sefton and Sarah, just
that's right.
third wheel.
That's right.
Sefton's talking about just being vulnerable and actually talking about just how you genuinely feel and how you genuinely think and perceive things is super healthy, and I struggle with it greatly. I talk a lot, but sometimes the substance isn't there. I think that would probably be the best way to describe.
Nervous talks.
I think Angie and I talked about it the other day. I'm very good at banter. I can banter with anybody, but I can banter myself out of actually talking about like actual deep emotional stuff. So that's what I'm more successful at. What are we talking? Hi, Brendan. But I think if you actually like say when you're nervous, or say when you're scared, or say when you're frustrated, it kind of actually helps the closure happen for it, I think, because you're kind of like, it almost means that you accepted it, because I feel like if you don't say a lot of those things out loud, it's almost like your own weird source of denial. At least it has been with me, and that was something that I still continue to have to work on. I hope a lot of people, I don't think I'm the only person, but like, if you just don't, sometimes just saying something, and if you're not good at talking, like I'm not good at talking, about real things, I'm very good at talking. If you just write it, sometimes that helps, it just kind of helps get it to the outside, like physically outside, so it's outside of your, speaking it outside of your soul, you're writing it physically outside of your soul. It kind of helps a healing process, it kind of helps a closure process, and acceptance process, and you're kind of officially like saying I'm prepared to move on because I've made something a real situation. And it doesn't have to make it bad. I mean, you can cry if you want to. If it's something terrible, go ahead and cry. That's okay. But sometimes just saying like, man, I'm so stressed out right now. Just like saying that, and then someone might look at you and be like, yeah, like this is hard. And like you instantly have a community, and it's just you and one other person. And you're just kind of like, you'll find solace and ability to move on just by someone acknowledging they feel the same way, or someone being empathetic to your situation. Or it doesn't have to be bad. I think we do talk a lot about handling our stress, but you can say when something makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say it, and you don't have to feel bad or weird about it. You can just be like, this is really enjoyable. Like, this is oddly enjoyable. Me and Sefton, 8 a.m. on Friday, just talking about our feelings.
It's easier than working.
But it's nice.
So something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
So let's do something that makes you happy that you can think upon when you are not happy. So if you're stressing about work, about finances, about health, whatever it is, if you're stressing about it, then you're not going to treat yourself right, or your situation right, or your friends right. So a good way to pop your mind back into a healthy place is to actually visualize something healthy, visualize something happy. It'll light up the hemispheres of your brain. You will begin to feel as if they were in front of you. This is real stuff. So I like to visualize my baby girl, and I'll feed her, and then she'll look at me, and then she'll spit all the food right back at me, and then she'll laugh. And when I think about that, it gets me going. So that is one of the things that I visualize to get me out of a funk sometimes, and reminds me of that I'm fighting for more than just myself. If you got kids, they're powerful, because no matter how you're feeling, you don't get to be selfish and choose, well, I want to feel this way because I want to. Well, you're not just fighting for you anymore. If you are sad, then your child is more likely to be sad. Yes. So fight for your happiness, not just for you, but for those around you, especially those little kiddos, because when you're happy, they are happy, most certainly. So my happy place is my baby girl. I want to hear from a couple people, but what do we got something from Beth.
Beth says that she likes the idea of writing things down, because being vulnerable out loud is hard for most of us, and that's very true. So whatever you need, journaling. I know people journal, things like that. But happy place for me. I mean, same as Sefton. It's my son. I mean, he's so wonderful. Simon. God, he has the best giggle in the entire world. It's so great. So, like, sometimes just going home and just hanging out with him. He's so silly. He's so easy to be silly with. So, just being silly with Simon. Silly with Simon. It's, like, the best thing in the entire world. It's just, like, nothing bad can exist. when we're giggling together.
Well, it's
True.
and
I can't read. Sorry, I'm blind, so I have to move and read the screen. Hi, Denise. Hi, DeLuca. Oh, it's the same person. I can't see. This is how blind I am. It's the same person. Hi, Denise DeLuca
she's
Hogan.
like this close to me. The one thing that we're doing is we're running this vet program, and we have paired with, it's called Dogs for Our Brave, and I believe the Gladsteins run that. Sarah and Jessica, they work out here, or did, at least until all of this. But they have a nonprofit that pairs, or they find stray rescue dogs. They train them specifically, and they do a great job at this, at being a puppy dog for a PTSD veteran, disabled, visible or non-visible scars. So, is happy place. So let's talk about what these puppy dogs do, and I'll make this all make sense in a minute. Is a vet goes into not a relapse. He goes into what do you call this? It's like a trigger. Many people have these. Vets have them. They can't have them for war, but you go into a series of paranoia or anxiety, and you start to lose your moment. What the puppy dog does is it can realize that you are out of place. It can feel it. The puppy dog will run up, and it will begin to talk, to lick, to force your attention up on the dog. So it's almost like when these guys, they can get in a bad place. There is a PTSD dog that will run up and will demand your attention, taking him from where he was into something happy, fluffy, beautiful that loves him. And immediately, hormonally, everything shifts within your body. So that is just another area, and another stone to the wall of saying, like, what you have in front of you can change the way that you feel or have been feeling throughout your day. So if you be wise, be a smart man, and place things upon your wall, good words, place people in your life, good people. When you surround yourself with good, positive things, you choose to hold on to those subconsciously. And a lot of the stuff sounds like mumbo jumbo. At Sefton 5 years ago, I would be like, I'm tough. Men don't cry and men don't write things down. But I sure do.
It's writing all the time.
Writing helps, because you can write. One, if you write a lot, you'll realize that your writing actually changes upon your emotion too, which tells a lot. But you get to go back and to reread it. So you get to either validate the way that you felt and saying, you know what, this was good. I'm proud of what I did that day, and I'm glad that I wrote it down because I'm able to remember to do so. I remember how it felt. But then again, is if you are you're having a rough time, a struggle time, a sad time, something low, when you write this down, you leave it. You put your emotions on the paper, and you can come back and you can also realize and see the contrast between, hey, I had a really good day on March 30th. And then I had a really bad day on April 2nd, whatever. But you get to see the cloudy days and the sunny days, and there will always be cloudy days. There will always be days that you don't feel great. And I almost would get upset these days because I had a standard for myself that I must feel good and great every single day. And when I didn't, I got mad. And why? And I would blame external things. But the older I get, I'm 30, but as each day goes by, I realize that I am more in control of the way that I feel. And it's almost like you have to set guards, you have to set a fence, and you have to figure out what truly makes you peaceful and joyful here on the inside. And because if you can find that, which mine is my family for the most part, my family and my purpose, which is just helping vets and speaking positively things. But if you can find that, you get a good energy source. You put good fuel in your car every single day, every single morning.
I'm just gonna go on because I see some people talking about the things that make them happy. Like Kim Carpenter is so nice because we're talking about that our kids make us happy. And Kim Carpenter saying that, sorry again, I'm blind, that her son Davis is 25 and she's proud to say that he is her best friend. That's so nice. So
well done.
That's beautiful. One thing, because we have, I don't know, you guys can't hear, but Sefton's got some jams going on right now. So we have some tunes. But that's one thing, we're talking about a lot of physical things that you can put in front of you, whether it's a person that makes you happy and stuff like that. But you can set your tone by putting on some nice music. Music can put you in a good mood, so just things like that. So turning on good songs. Like you can go back to the old school songs that make you feel happy. You can just put on calming music. Like right now it's kind of...
It's elevator music.
It is elevator music. But it's nice. But you can set your tone by creating your environment around you too. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a physical person that's in front of you. Like, what if we're not around our kids?
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of you can decide your vibe with the things that you create.
Decide your vibe.
Decide your vibe.
That's cool. Harder to do. It is challenging to do.
So I use music a lot for mine.
And so let's bring this into like some fitness health areas too. So if my food is bad, my mind's bad.
Ooh.
And so, I ain't judging. I'm judging myself. And I've ebbed and flowed with this for too long I know it's truth for me, is if my diet is poor, one, there's probably a lot of just self-guilt going on because I used to be bulimic and anorexic, so I would eat a bunch and then blah, throw it up, and then I would get really mad at myself, and then I wouldn't eat any of it for a long time. So I was super skinny because I was chubby as a little kid. So basically, as I ebbed and flowed, I didn't really have this area to stay. So food is something for me that if I eat well, I also am very proud of myself because I have controlled what I'm putting into my body. So you have two aspects, is if you eat well, you get to feel well, you get to feel proud, and you feel accomplished, and you feel like you're heading in the positive direction, but then physically your body takes the proper nutrients, and you actually feel good from the physical body, and you feel good from the mental piece just because you are following what is good. Eating poor food, it slows you down, but the biggest thing is what it has always done to me, especially high carb, high sugar. It almost puts me in a mild state of depression. I get sad, and it's almost like a veil drops, and I can't see something positive at the end of the day, and it's rough to run on that trail. So, working out, eating, I do it. You do it to look good. You do it because you're in the industry. You do it because you got to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. But my primarily reason is that why I try to eat healthy and I force myself to work out when I do not want to is because it resets my mind and it gives me like a third-person perspective to my life. If you work out hard enough, you can kind of step back and say, "Whoa, okay, what do I want to do today? I have a lot of time. Things aren't that bad. Let's get some shit done." And that's what has always worked for me. So if I'm rough upstairs, I run, I lift, I eat well, and then I get to reassess and reevaluate.
I'll throw mine in because working out, obviously, like I feel like people know, Sefton and I obviously work out. That's obviously part of our regimen, and again, part of the industry. But then we obviously understand how much is good for our health. Eating well, I have no choice. So that's one of mine. But my big thing that I have to do, that I have to be on top of, and when I was going through my postpartum depression, we figured out, because I journaled in order to figure out like patterns of what was my trigger of when I would have my worst episodes of depression, mine is sleep.
Interesting.
So if I was more sleep deprived, that was when I would cave like dramatically in my mood. So, and it's still like, I think everything is pretty much under control now, and it has been for about a solid year and a half, but I can tell that if I have not slept at least 7 hours, like that nice, beautiful 7 to 9 hour window that
nice.
Adults are supposed to have, but if I personally go below 7 hours, I have a very difficult time functioning. I think 6 hours is like my limit of like, but I'm still like very foggy. But mine is making sure that I actually get an adequate amount of sleep, and that makes sure that I'm physically in a very good place because my body is actually rested and recovered from the amount of physical pressure that I put on myself. My brain has officially rested and recovered, so I can be in a good mental space when I come into my day, and like I'm not foggy, and my brain waves are just a much more even keel. So like my biggest trigger, and I know that most people don't sleep enough, but I have to go out of my way, and I will literally if I realize I'm starting to go onto the sleep deprived side, I will literally send myself to bed at 8:30.
That's nice.
And just be like, no, I can't, I have to do this for myself. I'm really sorry, and like turn off my phone and just not respond to people. Like I tell anybody, like, I'm really sorry, but I have to go to bed. or I just wait until I wake up the next morning when people are like, dude, where are you? Because people are so used to that instant communication, and just be like, hey, I'm sorry, but I had to sleep. So, and just like knowing that you have to give yourself whatever yours is. Mine is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is food.
Well, it's figuring out what makes you tick and what is that limiting, what's that factor, the bridge from having a good day to a bad day. I feel like I have a lot of them, and it's a lot to manage. Sleep is, looking back, I'm kind of convincing myself. I never felt that I needed sleep because I was like, no, I'm tough. I can keep going. But like, it's like adding like sandbag to sandbag. Eventually, it gets really heavy, but sleep is phenomenally important for many reasons. But trying to find the triggers that give you a good day and that give you a not so good day. So journaling in that aspect, you can do this with food, you can do this with just psychology type stuff. But this is what we are doing with ourselves and our vets. But it's like when you get to write stuff down, it's beneficial for many reasons, but you start to see patterns of your life, and you start to see, are you doing what you set out to do, or are you just saying it? And at one point, holding yourself accountable and saying, I know that my sleep, or I know that my food, or I know that my self-image, or the way that I think, I know that this affects me because I've journaled it. Now I'm aware of it. And then after you're aware of something, which you've got to be aware of it first, then you can take action. And that's a whole different step, is just taking action, proper action, and actually trying to eliminate it or try to fix it. So many people, they know that they want to lose X amount of weight, they want to get off medications. They know, they're aware of the issue, but I will tell you that it is quite challenging. Eating right is easy, but breaking psychological habits of poor eating and of laziness or not working out, that's the hard part. Because if you want to all of a sudden start eating very well, then you don't get to use food as an emotional crutch to the poor day that you've been having. So food becomes less of an issue, and tempting food and poor diet choices become less of a temptational pull when you're able to better manage your mind and your real triggers. Because food it's almost like it's an easy place to go to when someone doesn't feel very good. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your sleep, you can control the people, you have a positive purpose, and you have a good vision for your life, it is a lot easier to stay happy, to stay joyful, and you're not forced, or it's not as easy to say, nothing in my day went well today. Nothing's going great. In fact, I just feel bad. That cupcake looks good, and you're going to make me happy. But you have found happiness many other different ways. So I feel like food is almost just a side effect of, can be anxiety, it can be depression, it could be like just a stalemate of life. And that's where I lived for a good minute too, is if you feel like you can do something, I'm a hard worker, but you don't feel like you don't know where you're going or what you got really going on. So you just kind of stalemate and you just sit in these murky waters, and it's easy to eat, and it's easy to get lazy, and it's easy to forget the fighter or the hard worker that you are. But visualizing that good day, finding good patterns, finding your triggers and what makes you have a good day or a bad day, there's a lot to it. It really is self-happiness, self-joy, self-management. I think should be taught in a course curriculum as children, because many grow up not realizing that this is the most powerful thing that we'll ever get, not the bicep, but it is the bicep upstairs. What else we got?
So let's see what people are saying. My blindness.
Sleep issue?
Katie can relate to the sleep issue. Yep. Katie's in Texas. She's watching us right now in Texas.
It's been hard to work out and change my diet.
Like a depression reward. It is strange. A depression reward. I like that. That's interesting. That's a good way of phrasing.
And you're not alone in any way with that. In all honesty, because sugar is a drug. It is. It's just a very, very, very common drug that, so is coffee. And when you don't have sugar, the body's like, it is a psychological drug. I mean, it's like, it makes you feel good. It tastes good. It is relieving the moment it touches your tongue. But it is a physiological or a physical drug too, because your body's like, it desires it. It actually, you will crave it. So if you use sugar as a crutch for a long time for other more deeply rooted issues, it becomes very hard to break, just like nicotine, because people smoke, one, because they light the cigarette. I mean, why do you begin smoking to begin with? You light the cigarette, and you're inhaling, it feels good. You get it's the stress relief. It actually brings you to the moment because you're thinking about something here, and you're not thinking about everything else. Mm-hmm. So you get this psychological relief to it because it brings you peace. But then you actually get the addictive qualities too. So it is challenging. It's hard to change the diet. And writing things down and almost visualizing and planning why should I change? What part of my life, or how will my life be better if I added healthy food, and if I took away unhealthy food, what would change in my life? And so what you're doing is, when visualizing, you're writing stuff down, you're using your imagination up top, you actually begin getting excited because you can imagine yourself feeling better, and you can actually imagine yourself doing the things, and then when you write them down, you have a plan to do it. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing is you're taking away, a potential life coach just by doing these things yourself, because realistically, a lot of these, coaches, life coaches, trainers, therapists, it's like a lot of times we just help unorganize the strings or the twine that can be going on up top. And we said, hey, you can do it. I'm not going to do it for you. I never do. Here, just do A, B, C, D. Mm-hmm. Can you see yourself doing this? And you just give them a plan, and you give them the encouragement and the belief. And if you have a direction and you have belief in yourself, you can get a lot of work done. Mm-hmm. And that's how empires are built. And that's how something simple as a chair is built. This dude's like, I don't want to stand all the time. He saw a tree, and he said, I'm going to build a chair.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that Sefton just said that, like, we often, and people in our field, a lot of people, I always describe personal trainers as almost like bartenders without alcohol, because people, like, they want us to help them a lot with the mental and emotional, and that is a huge part of our job, but we do not have the answer for you. Sefton does not have, he personally cannot answer my question, but he can push me in the right direction, the same way I could help push him in the right direction. You guys is that there is an element of self-responsibility to it. So again, we can give you a plan. That's one reason why we're here talking right now, is just trying to like help ourselves and to help everybody that's watching like go on a journey, for lack of a better word, of self. Remember, it's self-improvement and self-growth, because we're all different. So take that time to figure out, again, what your triggers are, and the positive and negative. Don't always focus on just the negatives. You have to remember what's the positive stuff. Because the more you surround yourself with the positive, the more the negative will go down. So don't always just only try to answer the negative questions. Remember to answer the positive questions too. But just remember that your self-improvement is your self-improvement. The two of us, had very different triggers and had very different approaches to how we had to heal and grow. Like Sefton talked a lot more about food. I talked a lot more about sleep. We're two different people. We respond differently. We had similar ways about going about it, but we had to figure out what was inside ourselves, what our issue was, and still growing, still working on it. It might be different tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So what our triggers are. So just remember that there is no one set way of healing. So be willing to try a couple different things. Again, for me, journaling helped. There was a lot of trial and error, and you can't get frustrated with that. So finding your purpose and finding your triggers, there's not one set way. So, and that's actually kind of beautiful, that there's no set way, because you never know, you might stumble across something that might be more helpful to somebody else that you could share. Because we're also talking about being honest and speaking out loud your truth. So,
and another cool part is, like, if you start writing everything down, you're figuring your triggers, you're figuring all the things, and you understand your own bad days, then you start giving a lot of grace to other people who have bad days. Because if you actually feel a good amount of empathy, because if they're having a rough day and they're not controlling it well, I just see myself being like, dude, I know what that feels like, and it's awful, and it's not fun, and I still get like that sometimes. So it becomes a lot easier to help and to love and to take care of others. It's just easier to smile at somebody who's having a bad day, which can change the course of their day. And you can change the course of your day. You can change your circumstance by really is what you were visualizing on top. Here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's an awesome point, is you have no idea how much your own self-healing can actually affect somebody else's. Because you can have that moment of, you've had enough self-reflection to know that, like, as much as you wish you could go back and explain to every single person that might have been negatively affected by your mood or anything like that, you can't. It would be nice if you could. It might have a lot of awkward conversations, but if you can always, like, project forward, and if you notice that somebody's personality is a little off, or maybe they're not as friendly, you can have at least enough self-awareness knowing, like, not a lot of people understood what I was going through that day, or, like, there were days where I definitely am not, like, the 100% best version of myself. Maybe that person's just going through something that day, and then you just controlled your own self-reaction to that person, that, you kept yourself more even keel instead of being all like, well, what the heck is his problem, or something like that. And then that person will feel your calmer vibes around them. And then they might actually end up having a better day because they're not feeling everybody else's tension around them, which might actually propel them going into a darker place.
No, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, like, you walk into a break room and you see a cookie, and you get this pull. You want to eat this cookie. And, okay, this is me. And it's like chocolate chip cookies. So you get put into a situation where it's very easy to do something that you know that you shouldn't do. So same with getting into a situation with another person is it's if they offend you, if they're rude, they're angry, it is very easy, just like that cookie, is to jump in and to criticize, or to self-judge, or to almost give an appropriate defensive response. It is easy to do, to not give grace, and it's easy to look at somebody being angry, being mad, lashing out, and judge them, and almost saying, they're a bad person. I think it's just as easy to jump into gossip as it is to eat that chocolate chip cookie, and it's actually far harder to be like, hey, no, I don't want that cookie, or hey, no, like, that guy's actually a pretty good guy, he's just having a shitty day, a bad day. So it's alluring, it's tempting to eat poorly, it's alluring and tempting to.
Oh, we love you guys too.
Someone
from Emerge loves this, and they love us. Someone from Emerge.
It's probably Dave.
We're just looking.
That's why we have our elevator music. It's pretty much empty in here. Well, cool. There's Gladstein, I think. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. I gave you a shout out earlier.
Sorry, my blindness again.
We talked about your puppies in your program.
Thanks. Patty says that this is very helpful for her because so much a mental battle for her. So I'm glad we're helping you, Patty.
It's always a mental battle, and I think I used to. I really used to think that it was like me versus other people, and now what I'm looking at is like it's me versus myself, and it's them versus their self, and it's really easy to. The whole mental battle thing is the reason why a guy's angry is maybe because he's had a bad day, or because his dad was rough on him, or who knows. But really you're fighting his emotion. He's fighting his emotion. You're fighting your own emotion. And realistically, we're never actually fighting another person at the person. You're fighting the hurts and the betrayals and the deceptions and the bad experiences that they have fought. And then you're doing that with yourself. So it is always a mental battle, and that's if you can control up top the way that you feel. If all of a sudden you're getting jealous, you're getting angry, you're getting frustrated, you're getting whatever it is, being aware, that's where that writing that down comes is so positive. Is if you're aware of your triggers, if you're aware that if I can't find my car keys, I get very angry very quickly. It's irrational. It shouldn't happen. But I can sit here and have all the patience in the world for every single client. But it's just know your triggers, and if you can find them, you can fight them. And if you can fight them, you'll keep peace a lot longer, and you'll keep happiness a lot longer. So it's always a mental battle. If we have specific questions, that'll be cool with the whole mental battle thing. But
yes, I see Tatum's here. I think it's your Tatum. Isn't that your Tatum Ponder sandwich?
Give me, if
Just
somebody
crazy.
would, give me a like a mental struggle. It could be self-identity, self-image. It could be hope for the future. It could be dealing with the past. What is, let's say, a mental struggle that gets you off of your plate of happiness most days or some days?
Come on, guys, chime in. No one wants to listen.
Tatum will say something. If you're still watching,
I was gonna
she's
say.
deep. Tatum's super deep.
If not, we can listen to our elevator music here going on. My blindness. My painting's disappeared now, though. The water's not hot enough anymore. Oh, man. No one's chiming in.
It's okay.
That's
It's
all
okay.
right. Can't see. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's Kim. Hi, Kim. Hey, Kim. Oh, self-image. Thanks, Sarah.
Well, you go first on that, and then I'll.
Well, Sarah, you're beautiful, first of all. You have great hair. Your wife has great hair.
She does.
So,
Go on.
self-image, with being the mental battle, shoot. I think with self-image, with my own personal take on it, is, oh, hi, morning, Kim, is, I think I just always have had a sense of humor about my self-image, I guess. I don't know, that's not one of my personal ones, but I mean, there's definitely days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm a mess. But I just kind of own it that I look a mess. I think I always look a little disheveled, but that's just my thing. I wish I could be the more like well put together person, but it's just not who I am, and that's okay. I think that's where I am with the on my own part with self-image, is just kind of accepting who I am and not trying to be somebody else. Again, I think that's really what it is that I see other people and they always look like much more put together than I am, or maybe their outfits match better than mine because I don't ever wear a lot of matching clothes. But I think it's just who I am, and that's okay. And I don't need to be the other person, because again, like, you don't know what that person's going through. They have their own other issue that I don't have, maybe, and that's okay. So I think it's just the not comparing myself to other people.
There you go. Good
And that would be what it is it just being totally okay with who I am, and if that means I'm just the disheveled one, I'm the disheveled one that never wears matching clothes. And that would be,
It's okay.
that's okay, because that's just who I am.
Well,
So
it's like when it comes down to the way that we do most things is we have an image that we want to hold. So the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the car that you drive, for the most part, many people, they want to somehow tell the public, hey, this is who I am. And you can do that by many different ways, consciously or subconsciously. One point I wanted to make to the self-image is you don't see yourself the way other people see you. And especially if growing up you didn't see much for yourself, it can become hard in your later in life to rewire that train of thought. The odds are, if you struggle with self-image and you have a heart for people, odds are is you're a pretty good person. It's just challenging and hard to see yourself the way everybody gets to see you, because you have been dealing with yourself. I've been dealing with myself for my entire life. I know all the bad stuff that I've done. I've known all the negative stuff, and it's sometimes we can almost assume that everybody else, did they know that about me? If they knew that about me, would they still like me? And it's I read a while ago, it was like there's thousands of different versions of me out there. What I mean by that is, if I meet somebody at the Apple store and I just bought a computer and I'm happy and I'm excited and somebody comes up and I interact, I'm going to be super positive, super giddy, super happy. I just have a new computer. That interaction will be very, very different, and he or she will go on their way, on their life, saying, this is who Sefton is. He's happy, he's positive, he's cool. Well, if you meet me after I have a low business day, or if I just missed a big deer, or if I'm struggling financially, or I don't have hope for whatever. You will be introduced to a whole different Sefton. And meaning is like every single day that we have, and every single person that you come in contact with, is you are actually like reflecting a light onto them of who you are. And it's one, if you're aware of it, then you can choose to act. But it is a choice to say, I am cool, I am smart, I am positive. I can actually bring life to people. I can help people. And if you choose and believe those things, which you have to force and find reason to believe those things, then you can really help a whole lot of other people, because self-image is a big issue. We try to we want to pattern ourselves as humans to something, to someone, and often that could be parents. Initially, it should be the first patterns, but if they don't do a phenomenal job, then we find ourselves trying to become somebody else by the way that we dress, talk, move, whatever it is. And the further that you're trying to pattern yourself to someone else, the further you are getting away from you. And that's a massive psychological issue, because you might spend your entire life trying to be, to speak, to walk, to talk like someone, and having that actually never be you. And that's where a lot of depression comes from, where a lot of mental instability comes, because you feel one way and you're trying to force a different. It's like you're wearing a mask all the time. So writing things down, figuring your triggers, trying to figure the way Sefton ticks. What does he like? What does he dislike? What do I really think about myself? What do I really believe about myself? These are phenomenal, very interesting, deep-rooted questions that if you ponder them, especially on the daily, you're bringing positive thoughts into your mind. You're beginning to see yourself as a person, as a human, and you find value with it, and then it's easier to find value for other people, other humans. Because I think when it comes down to it, we're all people, we're all important, we're all unique, and we all deserve each other's respect and love. And if you can find that for yourself, it's easy to find that for other people. And if you live in that, if you feel good about yourself, if you feel good about other people, that's where you can make the biggest impact. Because if you can treat somebody as if they're valuable, even when they don't feel it, they'll rise and they can feel that value just by you speaking that into them. So treat someone the way that they can be. Don't treat them the way that they are. If you treat them as powerful, they'll rise to meet that. If you talk to them as if they're beautiful, or if you talk to them as if they're already intelligent, that's where they actually believe it. Me telling you, you're smart, doesn't go very far. But me assuming that you're intelligent and smart already and speaking to you on that level, you're going to believe it, and you'll rise to meet that. Try to do that with yourself, and try to do that with your kids. And that's a little bit about self-image.
Yeah, and with the self-image, because I could see some of the comments that people were making, just like what Sefton was saying with the people that were saying they have a hard time because of thinking that people are looking at you a certain way. Just remember, like, that's in your head, because you don't know what they're thinking. And if you're projecting, remember, you need to find in yourself the projection that you want other people to perceive. And like how Sefton said, like, he's going to be a different version of himself based on his situation. But if he's staying true to who he is, and who we all are in our different situations, he can be happier when he's buying a really nice computer, or he can be having a bad day and be sad. But if he's still being true to himself, we'll always get, like, it can just be like, oh man, Sefton must just be having a bad day. But he's still Sefton. I'm not just like, wow, what a jerk. So like you can project the more positive, and even if it's a negative feeling, you can project the more empathetic emotion out. So instead of, if you're being your true self, people will know that you're just going through something, and they're going to be more likely to empathize towards you, rather than be like, I don't want to deal with that person. They're giving me, like, they seem very, like, have a wall up. I don't want to be around them. So just remember that people are most likely not perceiving you the way that you think that they are.
Correct.
And as long as you are just staying true to yourself, if that person has a bad idea about you and they're genuinely 100% convinced that's who you are, they probably aren't a person that you want to be around in the first place. Let them go through what they're going through. Your timing with that person is just not good at that moment, and that's okay. And like how we talked about earlier, is like they're dealing with their own emotion affecting your emotion, so let them deal with them. Maybe you guys will come around, or maybe it's just a stranger. And when it comes to, I saw somebody else saying like just finding your self-confidence, and that can go with the self-image talk too. Make sure that not only are you working on yourself and projecting who you are, just being as true to yourself as possible, surround yourself by the people that will bring out the best in you. And if you are going through life changes, because I saw that as one of the statements, like going through life changes, it is very hard to like remember who you are or figure out what your identity is, because your identity is changing, and that's okay. Just make sure that you are okay with change. As hard as change is, change happens, so you have to be accepting of it. And again, make sure when you're having your down days with that, because as we've talked about, like down days happen, there's nothing we can do about it. Make sure that your core group around you, your core people that you go to, are the people who are going to respect the change that happens. Because some people in our lives, they might be in our past, and that's okay. They can stay in your past. It's okay. Sometimes you just outgrow people, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. So people can be in your past. They might come back. That's okay. But if your self, your identity grows and changes, be with the people that grow and change with you, or find the people that will grow and change and accept for the person that you are going to become. And I think sometimes when we're trying to come out of a toxic place or just a different place, it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but your life changes, we try so hard to hold on to our past because we want something that's stable.
Right.
Because change is scary. That when we don't let go of the people who are not letting us manifest,
Right.
it becomes very, very hard, and we get so focused on the negative people that we kind of forget who the positive people are. And we're not as willing to accept new people to come into our lives. So I think that's a huge part of growing and changing too, is make sure that the people around you are accepting the growth inside of you, and be willing to find new people, and be willing to not leave people behind in like a screw you, I'm out, like kind of way, but like accept that some relationships might not be as strong, and that's okay, because that's life, and it's all right.
Cool. I wrote down a ton of stuff. So I thought that was really good. You said a lot of really cool stuff too. One, you said people are looking at me. What I have found is I've thought that a lot too. People look around when they don't have any real thing to look at. If they had their purpose, if they had their mind on something positive, and interestingly enough, they would not be wondering in everybody else's business, what are they doing? What are they up to? If you are staying busy yourself, and if people are busy and if they are busy and they are proud of the way that they think and that they feel, they will be minding their own business and they will not be looking. Those that look and they're wondering, those are judging, and they're not happy with the way that they are, and they're looking to find unhappiness or maybe dis-ease with someone else. So that can be deceiving too. Also, somebody can just maybe look up, they need to sneeze, and you see a weird face on them, and I've done this, and then I walk away, I'm like, dude, that person didn't like me, and then you hear them sneeze, and then it's just like, they just had to sneeze. But so if people are looking at you, try to find the positive in that and say, hey, you know what? If somebody is looking at me, that means I have their attention. Am I walking, am I speaking, or am I holding myself in a manner that reflects positivity? Because they might be looking at you saying, how can I model myself? Because we live in a world where we don't have very good patterns. We do not have many very good natural role models that are actually set before us. So what we end up doing is we searched and we said, that dude's cool. It could be a sport player. It could be a rapper. It could be a millionaire. I don't know. But you're like, you know what? He acts and talks, and I want to act and talk like him. So point being said is, if people are looking at you, you are illuminated. Act appropriately. Find peace. It just better gives you reason to get your mind, to get your self-identity, because you don't know, I don't know, that if somebody I pass on the sidewalk, I don't know how I can affect him just by holding myself and being at peace with myself. Because when you are at peace and when you're happy with yourself, you walk and you move in an entirely different manner. Your emotions affect your posture. The way that you feel on the inside is often reflected on the way that you look on the outside. Take that as far as you want. But if people are looking at you, use that as something positive, and because it could be amazing, and you could help somebody just by actually being you. Second, and as we talked about, somebody mentioned confidence. Well, what I have found is my confidence has come when I feel like that I know my story, that I feel like I know my purpose, that I feel like I know my identity, who that I am. And that's taken a long time to do, and there's not a straight path to really finding where you are going in this life, because it is a race, and it's a hard one. It's not easy. Losing weight is hard. Being fit is hard. Being successful is hard for most. But natural confidence comes when you are happy with who you are. And you're making change to better yourself in every way. Because if I'm not making change in my day, or if I'm not working towards something, I just feel lazy, and my confidence drops. It's almost like I have to be continuously stepping in some direction of self-growth. And that's where I feel proud and I feel confident in myself. So if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know your story, it's very hard to be confident towards you. You can be confident towards your car, your money, your house, your wife, whatever, but try to find your power through here versus through external resources. Got to let go to move, you mentioned, is if you are dragging a lot of weight behind you as you're walking into this life, and then somebody new comes in, you're like, I want you too. You're just adding another weight. And my point is, it's not always what new can I acquire to better my life. It often can be, what can I cut and to let go to get me further to where I need to be. Going and writing and self-reflecting, and you realize that your core group, if you are hanging around somebody or people or that do not accept the person that you want to become, which I thought was really cool, then those are the people that one or two things, you let them go, or you actually have to change the way that people treat you. You can say, hey, you don't talk to me like that anymore. I don't have those values. This is where I want to go. And it's very hard to change a old relationship, say like it's an old buddy that you grew up with. He wants to talk to you just the way he did when you guys were young. And at some point, one of y'all are going to have to be like, no, we're above that. I'm not that person. I don't party, I don't drink, I don't do crazy stuff anymore. I've changed. And you're going to talk to me or speak to me on this level, or I'll find somebody that will. So it seems like we have a theme, and a lot of this theme of what we just naturally ended up talking today was, it's finding you, it's self-reflecting, and this is what we do with ourselves and with our vets. It is getting some time alone, which can be scary, time alone with yourself, to consider what direction are you going in your life and why.
Hi,
and
David.
Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it because you want to impress or you want to be like somebody else? Last thing is mention comparing yourself, and I did it for so long. Is what's the verse that I want to use here? It's greed. It's like greed or envy. It steals the life of whoever owns it. And so no matter what I have, if I'm looking at the bigger truck, at the better house, at the more money, and a lot of these things become external, or then it steals everything that I currently have. Well, his truck is better than mine, and then it devalues. His house is bigger. His money's more. This is what I used to do often, is I would look and see and be like, that's better, that's better, that's better, and it steals everything that you have right in front of you. And it is the exact opposite of gratitude. So comparing yourself to others, you'll never win, because what you have been given is different than what I have been given. Your life is different, and you have a different course and a different race. So find yours and find gratitude, and then if you can really find gratitude with what little that you have, that is when you are given a whole lot more, because you can find the peace, and you can find the pleasure with the things that you have in front of you. What else?
I think that's it. It's 9:10.
Okay. Oh, you gotta go.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be live in 5 minutes.
Very nice.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Turn this